but collectively they will always be known in history as the Doolittle Tokyo.
Sunday for a Detroit synagogue president found fatally stabbed outside her home. As authorities investigate a motive and search for a suspect, they say there is no evidence that it was a hate crime tied to anti-Semitism. Samantha Wall, remembered as a community leader dedicated to building bridges. She was also a former aide to Democratic Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin. Authorities say Wall's body was found near her home Saturday morning after someone called police to alert them of an unresponsive person on the ground. Leaves unanswered questions. Police say the public needs to be patient as investigators examine all available evidence. Egyptian media reporting a convoy of 17 trucks bringing aid to Palestinians crossing into Gaza. Right now, in Gaza, Palestinians are rationing food and say medical supplies and fuel for emergency generators. The Hamas Gaza health ministry says the death toll has reached nearly 5,000, while more than 14,000 are wounded in Gaza. Over 1,400 people in Israel killed, mostly in the initial attack October 7th. Released, but for the families of more than 200 others still missing, the news is bittersweet. International correspondent Ryan Thompson with more on the hostage crisis at the southern Israel.
Their escape from Gaza documented here in Hamas-released video. After a long walk across the border with international aid workers, they were greeted by Israeli soldiers.
My father texted the group saying they think they're free, but we're not sure, and so please don't have any hope because we really don't want to disappoint. And then as it became clearer and clearer with the news reports that it was a mother and a daughter, our reactions just became more and more intense.
It's not clear why Natalie and Judith were the first to be let go. Hamas has given conflicting information about releasing hostages, at times suggesting foreigners would be freed if Israel stopped firing rockets into Gaza. There are believed to be up to 10 more Americans being held hostage as Israel continues to raise its estimates of the total number of people who are missing. Those disappearances are still being felt across Israel. Tonight, 2 of these seats are now symbolically occupied, but there are still hundreds of places for family members who are missing, held by Hamas in Gaza, and unable to make it to the traditional Saturday night Shabbat dinner. In Tel Aviv, this table with over 200 place settings paid respect to those in captivity. This weekend marks 2 weeks since the violent assault on southern Israel, and families are still waiting in excruciating pain.
It's life or death. Where is all the countries? Where are you? You must understand. It's crazy.
Other family members tell me that they are happy about Natalie and Judith, but are eager to see everyone come home.
We just feel bittersweet because I just want my cousin back. I want everybody to come back. It's just they released only 2 people for humanitarian reasons, but how is it humane to leave the kids there? There are babies there. There are elderly people who need their medicine.
Israel has promised families they will do everything they can to get them back home alive. In Tel Aviv, I'm Ryan Thompson for Newsnet.
Overnight, Israel conducted a rare airstrike against Palestinians in the West Bank, another indication this war is expanding to new fronts. Shannon?
Yeah, Trey, I know there's a worry that it would expand to the northern front. What can you tell us about what's going on with Hezbollah and the Lebanon area?
The Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has continued to fire rockets and small arms into northern Israel, today launching anti-tank guided missiles into the country. The Israelis have started to respond immediately to that fire with both airstrikes and artillery units along the border. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting with troops today, saying to Hezbollah, if they go to war with Israel, it would bring unimaginable damage to the group in Lebanon. Shannon.
All right, Trey Yingst reporting around the clock for us from Israel. Thank you so much, Trey. Joining
State Department official says about what he thinks is the actual reason. And a national defense expert explains Iran's role behind terrorist groups in the Middle East. What's the goal of the regime? That's more when we return.
Terror struck a mosque in the West Bank overnight, which they say was being used by Hamas to plan an imminent terror attack. The conflict is also expanding across the region after Israel targeted 2 airports in Syria and launched multiple strikes in southern Lebanon.
If we deepen our attacks, we will minimize the dangers to our forces in the next stages of the war.
Israel says they will continue to take necessary action against any rocket fire from Lebanon or Syria, depending on plans to send more air defense systems to the Middle East to protect U.S. forces in the region. Well, back here at home, first responders.
Years for allegedly collaborating with the American government covering the death of Mahsa Amini in 2022. Amini was arrested by Iran's morality police for wearing her hijab too loosely. Witnesses say she was brutally beaten by the police, later dying in a hospital, a claim denied by Iranian authorities. Amini's death pushed off months-long protests in dozens of Iranian cities. The New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists condemning the ruling, calling for her immediate release. In Tennessee, the statewide manhunt continuing for a second day for the estranged son of Nashville's police chief, suspected of shooting 2 officers. Dozens of law enforcement agencies searching for this man, 38-year-old John C. Drake Jr. Authorities say Drake, a convicted felon with a lengthy record, is wanted on 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. They say 2 officers were investigating a stolen car outside the Dollar General store Saturday. They struggled with the suspect, who then allegedly pulled out a handgun, wounding both of them. The officer treated at police department in stable condition.
It's not close. Militants killed and killed hundreds of people. This killing is just over 3 miles from Gaza, behind me, where you can see the fans rallies initially here. These are some of the 6 and their sons. It's clear from the sheer amount of bullet holes in the wall here to find them where this assault was. This is nothing like this before. First responders are still speechless at the unimaginable massacre that happened here. They continue to sort through the homes that were pillaged and burned, relics of a peaceful life before. From a distance, the strikes on Gaza appeared to slow Friday, but Israel is taking no mercy on its enemy as it seeks a much safer future. On the Israeli border with Gaza, I'm Ryan Thompson, Born Newsnet.
Ryan Thompson on the ground in Israel. Thank you, Ryan. The conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine top the agenda as President Biden hosts European Union leaders at the White House. In a primetime address last night, the president saying Hamas and Russian President Putin have similar goals, annihilating neighboring democracies. Take a look.
Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy, completely annihilate it.
The president also taking time to make the case for his $100 billion funding request to Congress, also taking time to highlight that the conflict there is igniting tensions globally and in the U.S., mentioning the 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy who was stabbed to death recently near Chicago. U.S. officials reporting an updated death toll of 100 to 300. Gaza hospital explosion this week. Both sides blaming each other, although the U.S. has come out in support of Israel's explanation that the blast was caused by a misfired rocket launched by Palestinian militants.
NTD's Tiffany Meyer there speaking to Israel Defense Forces spokesperson Jonathan Kalukas. London's Metropolitan Police hopes cutting-edge facial recognition technology could be the game changer in its fight against shoplifting. The police force has used the system to identify nearly 150 prolific shoplifters. Those trials show the tech is highly accurate and can even recognise people with masks.
Britain's biggest police force is using facial recognition technology to catch prolific shoplifters. Metropolitan Police said the new software is game-changing and could revolutionise how they investigate and solve crime.
So there's a number of things we're looking for. One is to be much more responsive to the needs of the retail industry in a way that actually allows us to sort out the most prolific and most harmful offenders and be able to tackle them and take them off the street.
The Met Police asked 12 retailers to provide images of 30 of the worst offenders who steal from their shops in a pilot of the new software. They were compared against the force's custody shots, and of 302 images submitted, 149 came up as positive matches. Those matches are now being investigated further with a view to building criminal cases.
What this does is this gives us a match in the system that gives us a jump-off point at an early stage so we can then start to progress in investigation and build a case around that individual.
The Met Police found a majority involved in prolific shoplifting are career criminals who are also involved in serious crimes. Lindsay Chiswick, National Police
We're not the only ones.
said the algorithm has been independently tested by the National Physical Laboratory.
And with this technology we've been talking about today, it's an algorithm that we've independently tested through the National Physical Laboratory. So we have assurance it's 100% accurate when it comes to retrospective usage. We understand how it works.
The new system copies images from CCTV, dash cams, doorbell cameras, or phones. It uses the same algorithm as the Met's live facial recognition technology. Chiswick said the software uses biometric measures of a person's face and works even if part of their face is covered. It takes around 60 seconds to find a match.
How biometric matching works is it creates biometric templates. That's essentially measurements of the face. So it doesn't matter skin colour, it doesn't matter distinguishing features, it's the measurements of the face, and that's called a biometric template.
Around 50,000 shoplifting incidents